Dan Lanning and his staff lately can do no wrong. They've just been absolutely killing it on the recruiting trail. They have the second highest average recruit, according to the 24/7 Sports Composite, only behind Alabama by .01. And they have the number 5 class in the country, according to the composite, with just 15 total recruits. And out of those 15 total kids, 3 of them are 5 stars, 11 of them are 4 stars, and 1 is a 3-star. And the only one that is not within the top 300 of the composite is the 3-star. And a lot of people, obviously, Oregon has a great NIL package. They have almost unlimited money from Nike. But with their latest 5-star pickup in DeCorian Moore, the receiver from Texas, who chose Oregon over Texas, everybody thought it was just about the money. Moore came out and told everybody Texas was offering him more money than Oregon was, but he thought that him and Dan Lanning had a really good connection. So these recruits aren't just picking Oregon solely for the money. They like Dan Lanning. They know he's a young coach. They've seen his track record. He's worked with Kirby Smart. His teams in Oregon so far in his 2 years have been built on the line of scrimmage and have been very physical. And now they're building on that. And with their class being the 5th best in the nation with just 15 total commits and their next couple of targets that they're eyeing, Oregon is probably going to end up with a top 3, top 4 class. If they get these next 2 guys I'm about to talk about and fill in the rest of their class, they still need about 10 more kids with some solid 4 stars, then we might be in the top 2, possibly push for that number 1 spot. But what we're hearing is, the cornerback DJ Pickett from Florida, really tall kid, 6'4". He announced his final 3 of Miami, Oregon, and LSU, and his decision's coming up. From what insiders are saying, from what intel is, Oregon has a very, very real choice, really real chance of being the team that gets his commitment. And they're also looking at 5-star safety Trey McNutt, kid from Ohio, that they already beat out Ohio State for Dorian Brew, the cornerback, the big cornerback that committed about a week ago. If they're able to pluck a 5-star safety out of Ohio and beat Ohio State in a head-to-head recruitment, that would be such a massive win and such a massive brick to build on for Oregon for the years to come for them recruiting with Dan Lanning. They could potentially have 5 5-stars in Dan Lanning's 3rd year as head coach, which is just insane to think about. And when NIL was initially allowed and schools could just pay out this money, I think everybody understood Oregon was going to be very, they were going to improve with their recruiting because of Nike. But like we just brought up with Moore going to Oregon, it's not just about that anymore. Dan Lanning, people love Dan Lanning. Recruits love Dan Lanning. The families do. He's a family guy. When the Alabama job opened up, he got a call from them and he had an opportunity to take an interview, and he had a very real chance of getting that job, and he didn't even take an interview. He just said, nope, I'm good. I like Oregon. I like Eugene. My family's here. I like what we're building. And I think that has a big, big part in why all these recruits want to go play for him, because he's a man of his word. Because we see so many coaches talk about building a culture, talk about building a program, and then as soon as a slightly better job opens up with maybe, a 5-10% pay increase, they're out the door. They're gone. That's not what Dan Lanning's going to do. He's there for a long time. He likes it there. He likes the culture. I know he wants to be the first head coach to bring home a national title to that program, which is still crazy to think about when you think of Oregon football in the 2000s and beyond, just how consistently they've been in the top 10 and a national power. Obviously, they lost to Auburn in the national title game. They lost to Ohio State. and it's kind of been hot and cold for them in the last couple of seasons. But Dan Lanning got there last year. They had a really good year. They just haven't been able to get over that Washington hump. But now Kalen DeBoer leaves for Alabama. All of Washington's players either go to the NFL or transfer. So Washington's out of the picture. I've been very vocal about how I feel about USC this year. I don't see them as a very good team. I think they're going to go 8-4, 7-5. UCLA is down. Michigan lost a bunch of people. Ohio State brought everybody back, but you get to play them at home, game 6 or 7 of the year in mid-October. I like Oregon's chances to win the Big Ten year one in the conference. I really do. And whether they win or lose that Ohio State game at home, they're most likely going to get a rematch in the Big Ten championship. And I know Oregon doesn't play Penn State, and Penn State also gets to have Ohio State at home. And Penn State could go 11-1, and I don't know, what the tiebreaker is for that. I'll have to look that up. But even if Oregon were to lose at home against Ohio State, I would like them in a rematch just because they would be the team that gets to make more adjustments. And with the class that they have building right now, if they're able to win the Big Ten in year one, and that can be Dan Lanning's selling point, is, hey, look at what we just did first year in the Big Ten. Wasn't Michigan, wasn't Ohio State, wasn't Penn State, wasn't USC, it was us. Being able to have that winning factor on top of the Nike money, on top of just him and his personality, and then look at we're the top dog now in the Big Ten. Look out. This is going to be a consistent program that recruits within the top 5 nationally, maybe even top 3, depending on what the on-field results look like in the coming years. But I really like what Lanning is building in Eugene. I've always liked Oregon. It's always just been a flashy program, a fun program, but now you can really see them building an identity with Dan at the helm. So I don't know. They've got a lot of talent that they've been recruiting. 2 more 5-stars that they're looking to add. I think it's possible that they get both. Again, if they're able to get Trey McNutt out of Ohio and pick Oregon over Ohio State, that would be just a massive win. And I think other recruits seeing that a top kid from Ohio does not want to play for Ohio State and goes to Eugene all the way out west, that would put everybody else around the country on notice. So I'm really high on Oregon for the years to come. I think Dan Lanning's doing a great job there, and expect them to consistently be a team that recruits in the top 5, possibly even top 3 year in and year out.